And now we welcome the dynamic and purpose-driven MD taking this journey into the next 100 years, as we've said. It's over to you, Mr. Gbite Falade.
Thank you very much, Richmond. I'm not sure if I want to say amen to that next 100 years under my watch. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Please permit me to stand on the already established, well-established protocol. I'm extremely delighted today to welcome you to the unveiling of our company under a new name, symbolically representing the direction that we're embarking on. It's not a break from the direction that started some 31 years ago, but we're at a point of inflection where we are adding speed, momentum, and taking it to the next level. I guess some people will be wondering, what does Aradel mean? As Africans, we love telling stories. And the name Aradel is not an existing word. It's a creation of the stories that brought us to the point where we are. In that name, we are fusing a very rich heritage and past to a very bold and aggressive future. That name can be interpreted from three verticals. The first vertical is that the word Aradel itself is an acronym of the DNA of the company. And as has been said by several speakers that have spoken before me, we are boldly putting forward our DNA of accountability. We are accountable internally, we are accountable to our board, we are accountable to our shareholders, we are accountable to the regulators, we are accountable to our community, we are accountable to all critical stakeholders that are involved in the way we run our business. The R stands for how we have resiliently weathered different storms, twists and turns, operationally and otherwise, to be where we are today. And it's a promise that when you look into our future, you continue to see a resilient company. You continue to see a company that continues to adapt, a company that continues to reinvent itself in the midst of changing situation. Whether it is about energy transition, whether it's about renaissance in the macroeconomy, we will continue to be adaptable. We're a company that is keenly interested in bringing to the fore affordable energy solutions. We consider ourselves a critical part of energy security for our country, and is the reason why we have decided consciously and deliberately to domesticate the consumption of the resources that we own. Is the reason why we went into the refinery. It's about energy access to everybody, starting from my immediate local community and then taking it further. It's about domestication of our hydrocarbon resources and deliberately stimulating import substitution in such a way that we contribute to the reduction in the pressure on our currency by having to spend less in importing stuff. The D stands for diversity. As has been mentioned, we represent in ownership various persons from Kano to Cross River, from Lagos to Bayelsa, from Rivers to Kano. That's who we are. And even in our workforce, we have enshrined and we continue to promote diversity across ethnic tribes, across genders, and across races. Our E stands for excellence, and this will continue to shape and drive the way we continue to run this business. Our pledge and our commitment, which is reflected in this name, is that you can continue to expect a sustained standard of excellence, a sustained standard of innovation and creativity. And last but not the least, our L stands for our deliberate intention to continue to play the leadership role that we have played up until now. And taking up from the Q of the ES of NCDMB, we will continue to even play that in a more deliberate fashion. So that's one vertical of interpreting our name. But as I said, our name is not just about what we aspire to be in the future, it's also about where we're coming from. And the Aradel can then be bifurcated into two, And those two form essential pillars of where we have come from. The Ara is pronounced and coined and created deliberately as a testament and as a reflection of recognition to the founding father who gathered everybody together some 31 years ago, Aradel Holdings. And the second part, Del, then speaks to our unflinching pride in the place where we started our journey from, in the Niger Delta. And so each time when we call Aradel, we are connecting the legacy of the pantheons led by Aradel Holdings. We are connecting the place where we started from, which is in the Delta region. And we are saying, of all the various acronyms that I mentioned, this is the future that we aspire to. This is the future that we want to be. I'm not going to spend so much time speaking about where we are at today. I think a lot has been said about that. But we've grown. And as the chairman said, as glorious as the past is, what is more important is the future. And I'd like to quote from Eleanor Roosevelt, the former First Lady of the United States, who said, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." Today is the future that was dreamt 31 years ago. And today we start another dream that will become a reality in 10 years, in 20 years, and in 30 years to come. And how do we recognize or project that future? Again, I'd like to quote from Abraham Lincoln, who said that the best way to predict the future is to create it. In Aradel, we are deliberately creating the future that will translate this company into an energy giant, not just in this country, but in our continent. And I'll speak to just a few points. In Aradel, the future we would see is not just us operating a marginal field and today producing some 13,000 barrels hot. We're going to see a company that will be producing much more, multiples of that in the near future. We're going to see a company that will go from its current gas production potential of about 70 million scf today, that will do multiple of that, and we're on a journey to achieving that within the near term. We started off with pioneering the modular refinery. We started off with the 1,000 barrel AGO train. We've moved on to expand that to an 11,000 barrel. In the future, and starting within less than 12 months from now, we're going to come on stream as the first privately owned modular refinery into the refining of PMS and the reticulation of that within the domestic economy. But we're going to go beyond that. As far as we're concerned, we're still scratching the surface. It's a proof of concept we are at right now. And so what should you expect in the future? Expect a refinery that is going to be significantly larger in capacity than what we have. And please watch this space. What should you expect in the future? Today we self-generate the power that we use in our premises. We generate today about 4.6 megawatts of power. We're growing our power generation base deliberately as part of energy transition, making use of gas and making use of renewables. And our near-term target within the next 5 years is to grow that initially to about 50 megawatts and then to scale that up, serving not just our needs, but serving captive off-takers and even injecting into the grid. In the future, and consistent with the trend that we have established over the last 17 years, where we have consistently returned dividend payments to our shareholders, we pledge that we will continue to sustain that rich tradition. To those who are current investors and to those who would yet invest, you can expect a company through the thick and thin that will continue to deliver superior shareholder return and justify your investment in such a way that you will get value better than you would have gotten anywhere else. In terms of what we see in the future, our history has been dogged by direct operations from just one field. Commencing from next year, we start the journey across multiple field operations, and we move from marginal fields to directly operating mining leases and bigger than what we are operating today. And not just within Nigeria, we're on the course of commencing production, exploration and production from mining leases even outside of the country. This is the future we're creating. This is the future we ask you to continue to watch out for and to expect to see. The dream of our founding fathers was that every Nigerian would have a stake in this business, and by extension have a stake in the ownership of our industry. Today we are traded on the NASD under the tracker NDP, and so what future are we asking you to watch out for? Is the future where our shares will be listed and traded, not just on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, but even on foreign bourses. And the ownership base of this company will stretch beyond races, boundaries, to reflect the global giant that we're aspiring to be. Again, I quote the word of Abraham Lincoln: the best way to predict the future is to create it. With Aradel, this is the future that we're creating. And we thank you for being part of our past 31 years. We invite you to strengthen your resolve to be part of the next 31, believing that it will be the best decision you would ever take. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. Welcome to our award, Aradel Holdings Plc. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Aradel Holdings.